Well, howdy folks, we are here for a knife comparison, not a review, but a comparison today. This isn't a versus, which knife is better, which one comes out on top. This is an informative video because I have received the question numerous times, which one would be better for me? And so today I'm going to try to answer that question. I'm not going to say which one is better per se. I'm just going to show you the differences and you guys can make an informed decision on your own. So what are we talking about? Well, there's going to be a collective right after this. We're talking about LT Wright Genesis versus an LT Wright Genesis. Alright guys, welcome back. Thanks for choosing to be here today. Like I said, this is LT Wright Genesis versus LT Wright Genesis. Why, you might ask? Well, one is the first LT Wright Genesis that came out. It's the LT Wright in Scandi. And the other is the LT Wright Genesis in full flat. It's no secret that I think that the LT Wright Genesis is one of the best bushcraft blades on the market today. There is an appreciable difference, believe it or not, between the Scandi model and the full flat model. And today that's what I wanted to highlight. Again, I'm not here to say which one's a better knife. I'm here to help you guys make a decision about which one would be better for you. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, guys, let's go ahead and get the basic specs that both of these knives share, and then we'll talk about some differences. Now guys, as you can see, these knives look virtually identical. There are a few minor differences, but nothing appreciable. That's just part of being a handcrafted knife. Let's go ahead and do the Scandi for the specs. Overall, you're looking at 9 inches, 4 1/4 on the blade, 4 3/4 on the handle. It is an 1/8 inch thick blade. Handle just shy of an inch, about 15/16. Both of these are made out of A2 steel. As you can see, both fit and finish are excellent. Alright guys, this is the Scandi Genesis. Both come with a crazy sharp 90-degree spine that LT is famous for. This is the Scandi model. And this is the full flat. And boop. Both of these blades come with basically the exact same profile. It's just the grind that's different, guys, but it does change a lot. Both come with a really good crafting tip, allows you to get in and do fine work and notches and stuff like that. Speaking of the tips, we'll start with the full flat. Digs down into this old hearth board extremely well, has a great bite to it. Do the Scandi. Let's just do the bottom side here. Over here. Both did great. Alright, another similarity are the handles. This is LT Wright's take on a broomstick style handle. Both are equally as comfortable. There are some small variations here and there, but I mean that's part of being a handcrafted knife. It's just part of being human. You can't make the exact same thing twice. So, but both are equally as comfortable, equally as grippy. They fit my hand exceedingly well. Onto the blade profile, as you can see, it's basically the exact same thing. It's only the grind that's different on these knives. They do cut a little bit different. So now that we've gone over all the similarities or the features they share, let's start talking about where they start taking two different paths and become basically two different knives, in my opinion. One difference in the tip that you will notice is that because this is a full flat and the grind actually starts at the spine, the tip up here is a lot thinner, so it does work marginally better in digging out like a bow drill divot or notching, stuff like that. Appreciably so? Not really, but just a little bit. Now just because it's thinner, I'm not saying it's weaker up here. I have pounded on this full flat and it has not blinked at it. So LT's heat treat, again, as always, is spot on this blade. On to another difference. The cutting edge on the Scandi is about 1/4 inch longer. They have not taken this grind all the way back to the handle like they have on the Scandi. Another difference, as you can see, the grind starts all the way at the spine on the full flat and comes down. Whereas the Scandi, obviously, this is the difference in grinds, obviously, starts about 1/4 inch up. That means that they have removed a lot more steel off this full flat than they have off the Scandi model Genesis, which also means this full flat is about 1/10 pound lighter. And what that translates to is a different balance, and that is really where the difference in this knife becomes apparent, in my opinion. Alright, this is going to be kind of awkward, but there we're at 0. Let me get this in there. about 0.45. So we got 0.55 on the Scandi model and 0.45 on the full flat. As I mentioned, they both have the same edge profile or edge geometry. This is where they start to differ actually because of the grind. That becomes quickly apparent by just doing something simple, like working up some shavings or a feather stick. Much more control is needed so you don't dig down into the wood, but also don't cut off the material you're shaving. The Scandi is truly a crafting edge, whereas a flat grind is very similar, and especially on this one, but I'll go over that in just a second. The secondary is convexed, and so it's a more robust edge. Not as much control is needed, and honestly, for someone who's not an expert at shaving and making feather sticks and stuff like that, it's a lot more controllable. You get a lot thinner curls, a lot easier. But that secondary convex is going to stay sharp longer. It can take more abuse because the metal directly behind the actual cutting edge is thicker. However, that seeming plus does come with a bit of a negative too, and we'll go over that next. Again, we'll start with the Scandi. Where these two grinds really start to differ is in push cuts. We'll do Scandi on this side into this divot, and full flat on this side into that divot. We're just going to do one push and see how far we can get. Alright guys, right above my thumb here, that is the Scandi push cut, and over here is the full flat. As you can see, the Scandi did actually do better, and I will say, it's kind of hard to illustrate this on camera, it was a lot easier too. It took a lot more force to do it just about the same amount of work with the full flat. As I mentioned before, the secondary on that full flat is convexed, and it doesn't naturally push into wood as easily as Scandi because the metal directly behind the edge itself is thicker, so there's a lot more resistance in pushing into wood. Now I will say that LT has thinned this blade down enough, and it's a lot thinner than a lot of traditional ones. That doesn't go to weakness, mind you. His heat treat's spot on as always, but the actual blade material that is convexed is thin enough that it does a really good job at push cuts as well. It's just, it doesn't do it as easily as Scandi in my opinion. As far as the weight difference, that is the major difference in my opinion. You can go both ways with these cutting edges and do fine doing whatever you want to do. There is a little bit different technique in cutting, but it's not hugely appreciable. But in my opinion, the feel of the knife is totally different. It's the weight that makes it feel like a totally different knife. This one is lighter. The weight, to me, this is personal opinion, all personal opinion, to me, this one seems better balanced. Whereas the Scandi feels a little bit tip heavy, but you know, it's all in what you like and what you want to do with it. Alright guys, I know you're going to ask, which one do I like better? I can't answer that easily, guys. I like the balance of this one better. If I'm crafting, I like the Scandi better. It is all dependent on what I want to do that day. Overall, I'll be honest, I think I lean towards the full flat a little bit, but that's not a takeaway from the Scandi at all. Both of these are excellent knives, like I've said. Alright guys, well I hope that's answered some of you guys' questions. I hope it helps you make a more informed decision about which one you want to pull the trigger on. But thanks for being here today very much. I appreciate it. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up if you found this helpful. Be sure to make a comment. Let's talk about these knives, the differences there. Maybe tell me what you prefer. And guys, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button to hang around for some more videos. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.